be back.
Good to see you, man.
I spent some time with Ryan last year in Los Angeles. I was like, Ryan, I know it won't seem Fox is going to give me a show. Nick Wright, we're going to be in New York. Man, we need you in New York. I need you to be on my show. So, man, it's always nice to have you based on your story and some of the things that we have in common.
Yes, sir. Thanks
and we should start with a congratulations. You got your radio show on Sirius now, Pac-12 Conference.
Yeah, the Pac-12 and ACC and SEC all started Power 5 conference channels on Sirius XM, and me and Guy Haberman have the morning show every morning, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific. So,
nice.
Congratulations.
Congrats, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Good time.
We'll have to tune in. All right. To the very quarterback-heavy NFL draft. Now, Baker Mayfield was first up to make an impression. After the Combine, he wowed the folks at Oklahoma's Pro Day. All 32 teams there to watch the Heisman Trophy winner throw and pass. And then I think he threw again. He threw twice. Mayfield did not lack confidence about his performance after. Take a listen.
I feel like I put myself in a good spot here to, be considered the best quarterback in the draft. No matter the height question or people, question the character. I think these meetings have been great for me. So, put myself in a good spot, and it's kind of interesting to think about. Before the season, they had me at a 3rd or 4th round grade, and now it's improved a little bit.
Okay, well, there are a lot of quarterbacks that pundits right now and analysts are sort of throwing around as where everybody could go. But who do you think is the best quarterback in the draft right now?
Well, initially I thought it was Baker just because of what he was able to do from when he walked on the campus at Lubbock at Texas Tech to what he got to at Oklahoma because of his stature and his size and his ability to lead. I'm moving closer and closer to Josh Rosen as being the best quarterback in this draft just because of what he brings to the table. Fundamentally, he's probably the best quarterback in this draft, ready to play right now. The whole process with Baker Mayfield, I'm still just, it's unknown. I can't believe what that day looks like. Do you remember our workout day?
Yes.
No one was there. I mean, the scouts were there, but it wasn't televised. You didn't have media there.
It's a different world.
It's a completely different world. The self-importance that exists because of that day is hard to imagine that they don't, not any of them have, and they get that question asked to them, right? They ask, what do you think about, are you the best quarterback in this draft? If your answer isn't yes, they're going to go, oh, he's got a confidence problem or something.
Right.
And if your answer is yes, they might call you cocky. They might say, so a guy who you mentioned Josh Rosen. Most of the questions about Rosen, there's one that I think is totally fair and one that I don't totally understand. The fair one is the one Chris brings up a lot. His ability to take punishment in the NFL. Can he sustain the punishment you're going to take no matter where you go? Is his body built for that? I'm curious your thoughts on that. And then also what I think is the unfair criticism, which is the guy has political thoughts. The guy is socially aware. The guy is not all football all the time exclusively.
Right, and we don't know if that's teams or just talk. Because I like to try to separate what people are saying on the street compared to people who can give you a job. Because a lot of times, those opinions are drastically different.
Okay, that's a fair point. So where you shake out on both of those?
Well, I think if you talk to anybody at UCLA and in Westwood, where I work, he took a beating his whole college career. He kept getting up. I know there was injuries that existed. I think he's going to get bigger and stronger when he doesn't have to deal with class and only 20 hours of work. It's going to be different for him. I think he's very capable of putting up with the punishment that the NFL asks. As for the second question, which I think is unfair as well, and I use the comparison to what J.J. Watt did last year. I know there was a comment out there about how we don't necessarily know what Josh Rosen's values are. I thought that was probably a wrong word that was used to characterize it. But I made a comparison to what J.J. Watt did last year, where he worked so hard in the community to help after the hurricane and became man of the year. What he was essentially saying is J.J. shouldn't have been doing that. He should have been in the rehab room, working on football, rehabbing himself, because most of the time they want us just to play football and shut up.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I asked you the question originally, you said at first you were sort of leaning towards Baker and then moved. What was it? Is it something that Josh did, or is it something that Baker did that had you?
Well, I have a tendency to. I watch the interviews and I watch the press conferences and I watch how you work at the Combine. And my litmus test is usually like if I hear something and go, "Oh, 1998, Ryan Leaf would say that." I tend to kind of throw a red flag sometimes, just because I go, that it's a mirror for me. I hold up a mirror and I go, okay, that's something I want to take a closer look at. The optics of what Baker has done and what I wanted to see from when the Combine ended until the draft happens is I wanted to see some actionable change. in behavior. I think that the comparison between Johnny Manziel and Baker is wrong. We know now that Johnny had substance abuse and mental health issues while in college. Baker, that's not the issue. It's more about his behavior and his attitude. And he's a hard worker. All those things could have been applied to me when I came out. There wasn't the red flags of my substance abuse past or anything like that. That wasn't there. It was about my behavior, my attitude, and my work ethic. And I had all those things moving forward. What happens when something goes bad in the NFL, when you start to fail, when there's a bad game, the city's on you, the media's on you? How do you deal with it? I dealt with it so poorly. And that's where I kind of see the comparison.
Josh Allen, I would think that you, and you said sometimes I look at a mirror. When I'm evaluating wide receivers, if they have a skill set that is close to mine, I watch them with some extra attention, and also I'm more critical of them because, like you said, I feel like I'm looking at a mirror. My standard for what a catch is and what a guy should be able to do with the football, it's real high. Josh Allen. I talk about hand size. I talk about being big, strong, and powerful. Break down who Josh Allen is to us and other football fans out there as one of the big, strong. And let me see your hand. Let me see this hand. You see that hand right there?
Oh wow!
See, that's why he can play for me.
Wow!
You see that?
Wow!
That's the first time on the show.
We're making sure everybody knows I have large hands.
Yeah.
Right?
Listen, but you're the first. Chris likes it. That's like a parlor trick. Chris likes to do
to make people feel small.
Yes.
Yes.
I've never seen him do it.
That was to let you know how important it is if you're going to be playing in bad conditions. Do you believe it to be important?
I think it's an important thing.
Josh Allen, give it to us.
For me, I'm a little bit hesitant just because of where his competition level and how he performed this past year. I know that people are saying stats don't matter, but in the two games I really watched closely and the film I've watched was against Iowa and Oregon. And he looked completely unimpressive. And it's not like the defenses are going to get easier.
Right.
You know, they're going to be more difficult. He's going to have better people around him, which I think may have been the issue in Wyoming. But I know at the combine is such just an entertainment show. He held the ball for a few seconds, threw it 70 yards down the field. Every quarterback probably could have thrown it 70 yards down the field. You never have to do that in a football game. You know, he needs to work on his accuracy. I think that, you know, I believe he's going to get an opportunity probably in the first round. So it's going to be high expectations on the young man. I think I like him personally because he's from a small school and he's big, he's tough, he's very athletic. I'm excited to see what comes like. I will make this point. There's probably 10 to 12 good to great quarterbacks in the NFL on a year-to-year basis. Some turnover every year. The idea that there's 5 in this first-round draft.
When we only have 12 that are playing.
Right.
Yes. That's a great
idea
point.
that there's 5 that are going to be in the league and be that guy now, that everybody needs to just slow their roll with this.
So one guy that we haven't mentioned is the guy that I think most pundits believe is the likely #1 overall pick at the moment in Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
And so I'm just it's weird because when I look at Sam Darnold, when I read the evaluations of people that can do the better mechanics evaluations that CC talks about, where your elbow is, listening to guys like you, Darnold doesn't, when they rank the quarterbacks, these 5 guys, Darnold doesn't have a lot of firsts. But he has no lasts. He has no fourths. He's like the second best at this, the second best at this, the third. So he seems maybe the guy with the least question marks, and maybe that's why he's the prohibitive favorite to be the #1 pick. What do you think of Darnold?
I think it's probably the safest pick. That's why. And right now, with the way Cleveland has made some moves, the safest route may be the best route for them, knowing that they're comfortable. The fan base is going to like it. They have a 4th pick where they can go defensively, maybe Bradley Chubb, where they can put him on the opposite end of Myles Garrett there. So I think it's the safest. You haven't heard much. You didn't hear much about the fact that Darnold didn't throw at the combine, you know, which I applauded. I think that it's very difficult to throw at the combine when you're throwing at receivers you've never thrown with. Also, you're throwing all man routes. You know, most of the time you're going to play a lot of zone in the NFL, and you have to throw into those pockets, and you're not doing that at the combine. Where at USC, he gets to throw to his receivers. They get to showcase their skills, and he's got a relationship with them, and there's a chemistry there.
The last guy, just quickly here, thoughts on Lamar Jackson. He's the guy I think that is, depending on the mock draft you read, he's going 25th, or he's not even taken in the first 2 rounds. Your thoughts on Lamar?
Or he's going to be a wide receiver.
Right, yeah, exactly.
I think you'd be a hell of a tight end, too.
Yeah. I would have been a great tight end. I do say with Lamar, I think he's the most athletic of any of the quarterbacks, of course. I think what he can bring to the table is a completely different type of quarterback. I think that whole scenario that happened at the combine, A, was blown out of proportion, and B, it wasn't tamped down because he didn't have an agent. I think that was significant. That it didn't necessarily need to be a story about him being asked to be a wide receiver. If he had an agent, somebody that was so helpful for me, for Patrick Mahomes last year with Lee Steinberg, being able to take a guy that ultimately was wanted 10th in the draft,
Chiefs.
you know,
Got him.
and Baker's in the same place. Baker was very low down the totem pole. Now all of a sudden he's moved up to the front. You know, it's about what happens after the combine to the draft and the spin that goes on these days with media days like that. It's hugely impactful.
Ryan, good luck with the radio show.
Thank
we
you,
really
Lloyd.
appreciate you coming by.
Thanks for coming out.
Coming up, could Jordy Nelson really end up with the Patriots? It's next on First Things First.
He fit one of the criteria, that's for sure.
Hey, we